This is the 80s Show on iHeartRadio.
Let's go. Come on, let's go. Say ho, ho. Say ho, whoa, ho, whoa. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Oh, boy. Yeah, what a maroon. What a situation we're in at the moment. It's amazing how we, the American public, can manage to major and minor things, I suppose is the best way of describing it. My dad said the best piece of advice he ever got back in the day was from a college buddy who, I don't know if he was trying to console him when something went wrong, but for whatever reason, this is a piece of advice that my dad got from a really good friend. And not only did he feel like it served him well throughout the years, but it was also a piece of knowledge that he imparted on to yours truly over and over again. And I've never been that good at taking this advice, but on the rare times that I do, it serves me awfully well. And usually our inspiration, our quote of the day comes from some noteworthy type of individual, the Rudyard Kiplings and the Nikolai Teslas of this world. But today it comes from my dad's college buddy, Al Adams, who said, "Don't sweat the small stuff." It seems simple on the face of it, but we really shouldn't be worrying about the minor things in life, the trivial things in life. Like the Confederate flag. Now, is this a symbol that carries with it a lot of pain and hurt for a lot of people? I don't rightly know and I don't rightly understand. Only because, well, I grew up in England. My main point of contact with a Confederate flag was the roof of the General Lee on the Dukes of Hazzard. It didn't say racism. It didn't say oppression. It didn't say any of the above. It said the Dukes of Hazzard. So I kind of thought that flag was a really cool and good thing. It was only when I came to America and started seeing how some people reacted to it that I realized it was a bit of a loaded proposition, the rebel flag. And in light of what happened in South Carolina with Dylan Roof, the psychotic kid who was attempting to start a race war by killing a bunch of people in a prayer meeting because they were black. And because of pictures of him holding it up as a symbol of what he believed in, this has ignited a certain amount of controversy. This has brought a certain amount of focus and attention to the flag of the Confederacy. The original flag of the Confederacy was way different than the flag that rednecks like to associate with the South today. The real stars and bars, well, it didn't look that far from the stars and stripes. Wasn't that different? The original stars and bars, you can see pictures of it online, had a square of blue in the top left-hand corner with white stars in it. And then 3 stripes, 3 big stripes. The second flag adopted by the Confederacy is where the rebel flag that we see today comes into play. Now, what this flag means and what it has become, I don't know. A lot of people associate it with Leonard Skinner, Dukes of Hazzard. Don't necessarily attach any sort of racist connotation to it. But bear in mind, the second flag adopted by the Confederacy, with the X of stars in it, as I like to call it, which really is a snappy design. I always thought it was super cool when I was a kid. And I was disappointed to find out that it had a loaded double meaning when I came to America. I was like, I guess I can't really wear this without feeling like I'm making some sort of statement. I don't fully understand the statement that it's making, so I'm just going to leave that one alone because I'm not sure. But this was created by a guy called William T. Thompson back in 1863, I think it was. The second flag adopted by the Confederacy, this is the rebel flag that we see today, and this is how it comes into play. Now, this guy who created it, a guy called William T. Thompson, called it the white man's flag. Yep, he called it the white man's flag. And he's quoted as saying, "As a people, we are fighting to maintain the heaven-ordained supremacy of the white man over the inferior or colored race. A white flag would thus be emblematical of our cause." Well, I guess that's kind of clear there, isn't it? And see, the original, I guess, white man's flag, the original rebel flag that's been adopted in this day and age, it had the flag as we know it, but it was sort of the top left-hand corner, if you will, of a white flag. White representing, well, white folks. The Southern Cross, emblazoned on a white background, commonly known as white man's flag. It makes it pretty clear that the purpose of the flag was racist in its very conception. And people are all bent out of shape about it. But let's bear in mind, it was Alan Keyes who said the flag that was the symbol of slavery on the high seas for a long time was not the Confederate battle flag. It was sadly the Stars and Stripes. It's a symbol. Symbols are going to be around, and the meanings of symbols are going to change over and over again. We shouldn't be sweating the small stuff. We should be focusing not on a flag, but on ourselves.
iHeartRadio shines the spotlight on Bad Company. 1979's Desolation Angels included the Rodgers-penned hit Rock and Roll Fantasy. The band began adding synthesizers and strings, moving the sound further away from familiar territory and creating a sporadic feel among the members. 3 years elapsed between Desolation Angels and Rough Diamonds.
Turn me on tonight.
The group disbanded, with Rodgers releasing a solo LP in 1983, then forming yet another supergroup, The Firm, with Jimmy Page, bassist keyboardist Tony Franklin, and drummer Chris Slade. After 2 LPs, the quartet broke up in 1986, just as Ralphs and Kirk were putting Bad Company back together. Former Ted Nugent vocalist Brian Howe stood in for Rodgers. The group stuck closely to the original lineup's riffy blues rock formula, but its first album, Fame and Fortune, disappeared from the chart after just 9 weeks. However, Dangerous Age eventually went gold, while Holy Water went platinum, and produced the top 20 power ballad, If You Needed Somebody.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Bad Company and all your favorite artists.
If your walls could talk, what would they say?
I have sent children into fits of rage.
I am responsible for a child's speech impediment.
I am the reason a child can't read. Just because you can't see lead paint doesn't mean it's not on walls, doors, windows, and sills. Today, lead paint poisoning affects over 1 million children. If your home was built before 1978, log on to leadfreekids.org or call 800-424-LEAD.
Brought to you by the Coalition to End Childhood Lead Poisoning, EPA, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Hey, you, what's that sound? I'm coming so loud from your radio dial. ADV getting down when you're rocking the jams. Here I am, going back once again. I'm ruling all city like a king I am.
I got a tweet from the ever observant Roy Shelton, who often joins in the conversation on the show. You can do that too. At ADSXE is where you can find me. At Funk FM is where you can find super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhauser. In reference to the stars and bars and what it stood for. And the fact that it was basically a symbol of white supremacy back in the day and conceived to be one. And in light of the fact that look, it's good to get clear on the meaning and intent behind it, and it's a useful piece of information to have moving forward when we make our decisions with regard to whether or not we're going to continue to fly the rebel flag on our way to a Skynyrd concert or what have you. But we were talking about the fact that, well, the flag that was a symbol of slavery on the high seas for a long time, not the Confederate battle flag, the Stars and Stripes, yeah. That was the symbol of slavery back in the day as well. It's worth noting that maybe perhaps we should be focusing on ourselves and not on a piece of cloth. And Roy Shelton, the ever-observant Roy Shelton, said, "Why focus on ourselves when we can blame some carefully placed thread?" Yeah, therein lies the rub. And thank you for your ironic dissertation of exactly what the hell is wrong with people in this country and in the world today. Appreciate your contribution. We're going to continue to talk a little bit more about the flag and a little bit more about Dylan Roof. There's been a light slap-ass tone to the show of late, and when the whole Dylan Roof thing went down, it sickened us. Sickened us for a number of reasons. I mean, beyond the human tragedy, beyond the sickness, beyond the mass murdering. The fact that pretty much the moment and second it happened, it was used by various political groups, gun folks, anti-gun folks, people who wanted to complain about the stars and bars. It was used as a springboard for political posturing pretty much before the smoke from the gunshots cleared, and that revolted us, and we left it alone. With good reason. And for what we decided was an appropriate amount of time. So today on the show, we're going to dig into it a little bit, but we're not going to get into political posturing. We're not going to get into the gun whys and wherefores. We're instead going to talk about the quality. We're going to talk about the quality of being a human being with forgiveness in your heart. Pretty much the most tear-jerking example I have ever seen of people actually being Christians. Christian in the sense that when you come down to it, it's not about using the Bible to subjugate gay people. It's not about you will do that, you won't do that. It's not about using religion as a tool to control folks. It's about having love and incredible amounts of forgiveness in your heart. And we look for the silver lining in tragedies like this. And I think I found it. And I think it has to do with the humanitarian nature of some of the folks that were affected by this awful tragedy. And we'll get into that after, let's start with the dessert today. Let's have a little fun. Let's take a look at the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair, certainly not balanced. Funkhauser, how are you, and what is going on in the world?
Ooh, I'm sweet like a dessert. I smell like cheesecake for some reason.
Yes. Do any of your adult entertainment friends ever refer to you as dessert?
Let's see. How do I answer this question? Hi, Mom. Yeah, I guess so. I'm a tasty treat after a nice snack, I guess.
A funk morsel?
Sure.
You know the expression that I could never get on board with, like it never worked for me, was like. It's funny, I remember coming to America and coming to the South and spending some time in the South and thinking that, like, Southern women were awesome. They were so cool. They were kind of like old-timey and old-fashioned, and they liked to party, and they were great, and they were just so sweet and so nice and so kind, which was very different from the New York City chicks that I'd been familiar with and the London chicks that I'd been familiar with. And I remember thinking, wow, this is fun. This is cool. I could listen to them talk to me all night long. I remember thinking this as a kid touring America, about 17, 18 years old, and discovering Southern women for the first time ever. And